was a very strong effort to unseat a duly elected president and provide maybe to get him to just say, you know what, I'm not gonna, I don't need this, I'm not gonna put up with it, and walk away. I think that there was some sentiment, in fact I know there was some sentiment that maybe he'll just, he's a guy from New York, not a politician, he'll just say, you know what, I don't need this stuff, I got better things to continue. That effort continued to go after him in any way possible, to remove him through some means, whether it was the fake or the kind of, so that's the first phase, if you will. That was still, that's something that's been going on for years, because when your enemy tells you that they're going to do something, you better pay attention to what they say, and you better have some plans, and you better have some ideas about how to deal with that, if in fact that does come to fruition. Now we're moving into something different. So, and not different in terms of it. This is still a coup in progress. But now it's sort of the up their game. When they lost in 2016, I think that there was a decision, and I believe that this is the time in our history where if we don't get this right, this country is done. It will be over, as we know it. And as I stand here talking to you, I'm not standing here for me. I'm standing here for my children, my grandchildren, and frankly, the beacon of hope that we are as a country.
Is he part of the deep state?
Former Lieutenant General Thomas McInerney has come out on the record alleging that treason against the nation is taking place surrounding the presidential election. He says the attempt to steal the election from President Trump is the largest cyber warfare activity in the world. McInerney says there are two groups involved, both the foreign states of China, Russia, and Iran, as well as U.S. citizens.
This is 6 to 10 states bonding together to manipulate their data to take control of the U.S. government and the chief executive officer, the commander-in-chief. So this is not anything to be taken lightly. It's not dirty politics or tricks. It is by the very nature against the United States government and the people of America.
A cybersecurity expert signed an affidavit saying TV news stations reported the counting stopped in 5 swing states the morning after the election. He calls this highly unusual and says it may indicate prior coordination, but says they did not stop counting and did so behind closed doors, demonstrating collusion to get the results in secret. General McInerney outlines a 5-fold plan for tackling what he calls a national emergency.
Initiate the Insurrection Act, declare martial law, suspend habeas corpus, and set up military tribunal. Those are the things that must be done in this emergency. It is a national emergency of whether we're going to continue forward as a democratic republic or into a totalitarian society.
General McInerney's plan starts with the president declaring a national emergency as per Trump's 2018 executive order on foreign interference with the election. Then he suggests implementing the Insurrection Act to quell potential riots by Antifa and BLM, who he says will want to create chaos if Trump wins. Then declare martial law, suspend habeas corpus, and set up military tribunals to arrest and try those who participated in the steal, people he's identified but can't disclose. He says the problem must be solved now or never.
And if we don't solve it now, it'll never be solved, because we will move into a tyrannical situation that will eventually be, whether you can call it social democrats or communists, it's going to be both the same. It's just a different name.
What's more, General McInerney said the vote-switching applications Hammer and Scorecard were in use in this election, as well as in 2016. He says Dominion Voting System's central server farm was moved to Frankfurt, Germany, where rogue elements of the CIA had it. U.S. Special Forces then seized it, and he says the White House has confirmed the U.S. has possession of them. He says he does not know whether or not there were casualties during the seizure.
General Michael Flynn told Newsmax Thursday that President Trump won on the 3rd of November and laid out a number of options the president could take.
He could immediately, on his order, seize every single one of these machines around the country on his order. He could also order within the swing states, if he wanted to, he could take military capabilities and he could place them in those states and basically rerun an election in each of those states. I mean, it's not unprecedented.
Flynn could be referring to the use of the 1807 Insurrection Act, which allows the president to send the military to suppress a domestic uprising or revolution. Trump allies like attorneys Lynn Wood and Sidney Powell allege that the election was rigged and a coup is taking place, and have called it a color revolution. Flynn also says that Trump needs to immediately appoint a special counsel that would look into and prosecute election fraud. And he says that while he doesn't know if the president will pursue these options, Trump needs to plan for every eventuality because they can't allow the election to go down the way it is. In his remarks to Newsmax, Flynn clarified he isn't calling for martial law, noting there's a constitutional process that has to be followed. But he suggested it's an option, and one, he said, that's been used many times before. A 2018 executive order would also allow Trump to impound voting machines if foreign interference in the election is confirmed. Attorney Powell says they have more than enough evidence to trigger the order. Grace Coulter, NTD News.
Some GOP lawmakers and civil groups say Trump should invoke the 1907 Insurrection Act. The law permits the president to send